Welcome to The Naked Truth. And now, your host, Bridget Barclay.
Good evening, America, and good morning, England. Welcome to The Naked Truth. This is Bridget Barclay. And tonight's guest, we have Dan Willis. He's one of the top secret military witnesses that testified at the National Press Club in Washington in 2001 in front of a major mainstream media, which is obviously what's happening now. So it's quite apt that, you know, we've got Dan on. I had Robert Salas on a couple of weeks ago, so I really wanted to get Dan on. But actually, looking back, I've known Dan and his lovely wife Rebecca since 2011, when I met Robert Salas, and then, you know, who's talked about Dan, and, you know, then we all became friends. So welcome, Dan.
Bridget, pleasure to be on your show again.
Thank you, and a good evening to you, because it's a very early morning for me, as always.
Yeah, good morning to you. It's like 1 a.m. in London, right?
Don't tell me. Right, I've drunk enough coffee anyway. So to get me through. Tonight, Dan, I wanted, because I had Robert on, and when I met Robert in 2011, he talked about his experiences, and then he spoke about yourself, and that's how I got in contact with Rebecca, and I got in contact with you. And I just I think because I met the Woods, Ryan Wood and Robert Wood, and I was just really interested in all like the Majestic 12 stuff. I didn't totally look into it, but the fact is you've got witnesses that are witnessing phenomenal encounters that they weren't allowed to speak. And then, you know, you all go public at the National Press Club with Stephen Greer, and now it's obviously moved on. So please tell us about yourself, please.
Oh, well, in 2001, ancient history, right?
Yeah, right.
I was one of 21 top secret military witnesses that were stated before the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., before the mainstream media world. We had 22 cameras, and the place was packed with reporters. And, you know, we were disclosing incredible, 57 different species, faster than light craft, 0-point energy. President's CIA director has been denied access. Basically, we were disclosing illegal secret government operations and the extraterrestrial presence to the world. But myself being an ex-ABC newsman, this was sanitized through the networks, and this was brought about from a long chain of denial of access, going all the way back to President Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Whereas Vice Admiral Thomas Wilson, who was the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he was shown these unacknowledged special access programs that were reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. And he was denied access, and he was threatened, to drop the matter immediately or lose rank, see an early retirement. And so in a Pentagon meeting back in 1997, he told Dr. Greer, if you can get your witnesses, that he started collecting all the way back to 1993 when he met with the CIA director, James Woolsey, because Clinton got denied access. The CIA directors denied access. So he brought in a civilian, Dr. Stephen Greer, who was the director for the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and brought a big stack of substantiating documents. And words out of the CIA director's mouth was, I know the subject's real. I'm trying to figure out why the hell I can't gain access to it. And so he met with military advisors, and they started collecting witnesses starting in 1993. So from 1993 to the year 2001, over 500 military intelligence witnesses were gathered. 21 were willing to go before the cameras of the world. I was one of them. And that's how it all started.
Because now, in the last couple of years, people just, think that Congress is just what's happening now. And you guys were the real whistleblowers back then.
Yeah, there's kind of a lie going on. It's being circulated in the UFO circles.
Okay.
That is that we have extraterrestrial we have extraterrestrial craft, but we haven't figured out. It's too advanced. We haven't made much progress.
Oh, that is a lie.
Yeah. And you have to wonder, whenever there's a lie, there's usually an agenda behind it. And we disclosed that there was a plan going all the way back to the 60s, and Wernher von Braun deathbed, of the false alien invasion. And so that's the only thing I can think of, that why they would want to continue to deny that they haven't made much progress, because we had anti-gravity developed in the United States by October of 1954. Nazi Germany developed it by 1934, 20 years prior. And they developed their own secret space program that was kept secret.
Top secret.
And so we have the Solar Warden program, the 2001 event, a UK hacker, Gary McKinnon, well.
Yeah. I do.
And,
actually, Gary's going to come on the show soon. In about a year's time, he's booked. He's not allowed to speak for another year, but we've been in contact, so it's quite good.
Yeah. They wanted to put the poor fellow away for 70 years in prison. He disclosed the U.S. Navy's Solar Warden secret space program that has huge, kilometers-long spacecraft out there in our solar system. So it's a lie that's going on. Certain elements that are brought forth in the media, and also the Senate UFO UAP, as they call it, hearings. They kind of skirt around that.
So when you were at the press club then back to 2001, were there obviously new reports that you had never heard of? Obviously, you're meeting other witnesses, for the first time, which I always find absolutely amazing. I absolutely love being around people that have had experiences, because you bounce off each other. But, you must have met some and heard some other incredible stories, right?
I'm sorry, one more time, Bridget.
Okay. It might be the English. Right. Back in 2001, when you're at the press club, you're with other witnesses, military witnesses. So
Yes.
It must be quite incredible hearing other encounters, witnesses' encounters, because I know myself when you're with another experiencer, and it's so nice to hear. So there must have been some amazing encounters that you heard there. Yeah.
Yeah, not only encounters, but many of the witnesses brought official supporting documentation to back their witnesses. And I'm looking at the place packed, and all these newspaper report, radio, television, all this, and I'm thinking, my God, I'm so honored. I'm part of this world-changing event. My God, how can we were seeking a congressional hearing with the Bush administration, which denied the congressional hearing, but we could be releasing 0-point energy. We have anti-gravity craft. Myself, after we had the scientists within the unacknowledged special access program that could prove before a congressional hearing we have the 0-point energy. We don't need these dangerous, obsolete technologies of nuclear, oil, and coal. And, that was denied. And so I volunteered afterward. Dr. Greer set up a corporation. We were meeting with civilians that had invented things. And for 10 years, I saw, threats, murders, mostly national security orders. And it seems that ever since the national security orders originated from the Invention Secrecy Act back in 1951, that thousands of anti-gravity, free energy, it all gets suppressed.
Yeah.
And so we could have, and one of the things that interests me is the medical technologies that have been
Mm.
suppressed. You know, the Rockefellers, they started in the early 1900s. My great-grandfather was going up against, he was the president of Homeopathic Medical Society, and
Oh,
they were
wow.
shutting down
Wow.
all the natural methods for patent drugs, because that's how
Yep.
you make money, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so with these technologies now in the let's see, I can share a screen here in
Screen safe. Yep. Yep. We have
just a
that.
little bit. In the
Phrases there. Mork calling Orson. Come in, Orson. No, carry on. carry on talking. He'll come back in a sec.
just a little background on that.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot of the secret space program witnesses that, the technology they have where you can age regress and time regress and, wipe the person's memory as if nothing ever happened, and they go 20 years service, which is, mind blowing for a lot of
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
And you have, I have several close friends, John Charles Moyen, Tony Rodriguez, Elena Danaan, and there's many others that have firsthand experience being on these med beds, they're called, which is this
Sorry, carry on.
holographic medical technology.
Yeah, because I saw a podcast that you done with, and you talked about Elena. So tell me how she comes into it.
Yeah, it's interesting how it can take somebody who's lost an arm or body's almost cut in half or lost a leg, and within hours regenerate it being perfectly normal. And it's based on the fact that the universe is holographic.
Yep.
And that you can tune through the vector of time.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Race, why don't you go ahead and put up the share screen? Thank you.
There he is.
Okay, here's a project I worked on. I worked with IBM's head scientist, Dr. Marcel Vogel, back in the 1980s. And this was a project I worked on. This was built in England back in the 1950s.
It looks like a massive bank safe. Sorry. Go on.
But it's this is primitive, but it's substantiated.
It doesn't need to be anything bigger, does it?
It substantiated the principles of how these people who explain how the med beds work is that you can tune through the holographic field of time. And it was patented by the European Patent Office back in Paris, France, 1955. And here's a picture of a fetus inside of a pregnant woman that's 50 miles away. Now, if you can take a drop of blood, within that drop of blood is the holographic whole of the entire person, right? And so
Say that again a bit slowly. So that bottom photograph is a picture of a fetus in a lady's.
It's 50 miles away, and they're using a drop of blood to tune into her holographic field. And this image comes up. They made thousands of photographs with this. It was patented. It worked. My job was to, instead of a laborious photographic plate, was to convert it into a real-time display so you could see it, real time. And it had a time spiral on it. And you could move it forwards and backwards into time, where you could see the different levels of gestation of the baby.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And here's a secret space program friend, my dear friend John Charles. His body was almost severed in half by this black Draco on Mars, and they put him in a med bed and totally restored him. Tony Rodriguez, arm and foot was completely taken off by an insectoid on Mars, and he felt like $1 million afterward. Elena had an abduction, and they were able to remediate the impact of what happened to her when she was abducted at 9 years old. Let's see. Let me go.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into the military abductions, even though one of my encounters involved military helicopters and the men in black. That's quite quite, it may be a thing, me telling me not to look into it. I don't know. I mean, I have had regression for it, but I haven't really looked into all of the military abductions. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these are people that have been recruited into the secret
Yes,
space
that's right.
program, either voluntarily or involuntarily, like
Yeah, exactly.
Tony.
Okay.
How these medbeds work is that they can tune through the vector of time. An individual's holographic field has within it this time vector. So
Mhm.
you have from the point of conception all the way to your present time. What they do is it takes a holographic image of you, and then they can tune through the slides of time. Let's say when you were 21 years old or whenever.
Oh, I remember that.
But what it does is, I mean, what I worked on was, keep in mind, primitive, but it
Okay.
substantiated the principles that the
Yes.
holographic field is tunable through time. And so what they do is they go back to an earlier point when the body was optimal, and then what they do is they project that pattern onto the body, and then what happens is the body morphs into that
It
more
remembers.
healthy pattern.
Okay.
My
Is it
contact,
sorry,
yes.
is it because it remembers, or is it just well, it must remember. It's an imprint, right?
It's I'm sorry, Bridget.
It is my English, isn't it? I'll sit a bit closer.
I'm working on the accent. My hearing's terrible, so
So
forgive me.
is it like an imprint that it remembers you? So it's an
It's more
imprint?
like within the holographic field, it has the ability to tune through time. Not so much an imprint, I guess, through time, you could say.
Okay, yeah.
So every bit of you
Mhm. Yeah.
at some point in time, from the
Yeah.
moment you were a baby to right now,
Mhm.
is recorded in a
Mm.
vector of time within your DNA energy
Mhm.
field.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else I can cover
Well,
here.
they'd find me quite interesting if I went on that bed then. Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's see, I'm just jumping for. Oh, Elena went to the moon back on March 30th last year. And,
Okay. Before we talk about anyone else, I want to
yes.
talk to everybody, and I want you to talk to everybody about your what you have experienced yourself, please, because that's the whole point why you went to the National Press Club.
Oh, my testimony was,
Yes,
I
please.
consider, minor compared to the other witnesses that were talking about 57 different species. We have faster than light craft, all these different things. I was in naval communications with a high-level top secret security clearance, and there was a Navy ship off the coast of Alaska that sent a secret priority message to the chief of naval operations. The crew visually witnessed off of port bow a saucer about 70 feet in diameter that came out of the ocean and then shot straight up in space. The radar operator tracked it going over 7,000 miles per hour. This was, classified, secret, going authenticated message, so I knew it was real. So
Yeah.
it put two questions in my mind. One, why isn't the government, disclosing the extraterrestrial presence to the public? And then the other question is, why aren't the extraterrestrials making themselves known to the people of Earth? And so from 1969 to present day, I've been seeking, and I found, for myself, I found the answers to those questions.
Yeah, I mean, once you've had an encounter, that's it. Your life just totally changes, and it doesn't think pretty much of anything. Well, it does think of everything else, obviously, but every part of your day has ufology up there, your experiences up there for sure. So the other people that witnessed the encounter of the craft, they went public with you at the press club?
Well, many of them, I was maybe one of the younger ones. Some like Carl Wolf, who talked about the bases on the dark side of the moon. Let's see, going back. Yep, there we go.
Yep. Okay.
He was killed on his bicycle by a big truck. Donna Hare, who she said, I don't know how they do it, but she was where they're airbrushing UFOs out. But she said, the astronauts are sworn to secrecy what happened when they went to the moon in 1969. She wrote me a letter in the mail, said that she's having attempts on her life, and she died of a cancer. Commander Graham Mitsum, he passed away.
Well, you've got
there's so many of them are no longer with us.
Yeah, I may. Yeah, good John Mack. Mysteriously.
So William Tompkins, he wasn't one of the witnesses, but he was a well credible U.S. Navy witness that saw what was on the live feed when we went to the moon. They were warned off the moon, but ham radio operators, they
hear a lot. Yeah,
they picked up the signal.
So for that encounter, then, you were able to get the documents from that, the radar report and everything.
I contacted Office of Naval Intelligence to get that report, and they said because the ship's record are only kept for a certain amount of time, they delete the record. So unlike the other witnesses,
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's true. It's what they do.
Oh, do they? So again, has anyone come forward from that encounter as well?
Oh, back in 1969, no.
Okay. All right. Okay. That
would not to my knowledge, anyway.
Okay. And then you had another encounter in 1977.
Oh, that was back in 1977. I had this interaction with a being that Elena identified as an emissary, and it had to do with it was kind of an Kundalini opening experience with this incredible. He projected the sphere in space, and it was geometry. Anyway, it's probably too long to go into on this show, but about the matrix of the universe and how it's together. And I've been, through Elena, we've been communicating with. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, I've been communicating with this chap over here.
Okay. See, I'm not liking all of this AI at all. I'm really old school. I know we can't get original pictures of them, but I just So
these are photorealistic. You try to take a photo on board the craft or anything like that, and the electronics just don't work. You can do it from afar. You can you got to be outside the field. And basically, last year I was able to present for the first time. We've been communicating since April of 2022, exchanges, question, answer. And so I'm working with the science team. We developed the technology that they use on the planet Era, and it's called a frill generator crystal. This is how they power their entire planet. And so I've been honored to receive this information that's been authorized by the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And so with my working with my science team, we have put this together. It's very interesting how the crystal is cut to certain geometries.
Yep.
And
it will be, yep.
Like this. And then what happens is two vortices form that create a phase conjunction node in the crystal. There's two counter-rotating vortices, and when you piezoelectrically stimulate it, Elaine and I both have our setup. It sets up a singularity wormhole that.
What are you using this for then? As a form of communication?
Well, she has, when she was abducted at 9, the Greys put an implant in her, and they had to repurpose it to be a quantum communication device that communicates with her contact, Jen Han Eredyon, in the Galactic Federation of Worlds. So I've been able to contact with his younger brother, who is a terraforming scientist that's currently working on Mars. And we've been exchanging about 150 pages of question and answer on all their technology. And so one of the...
she has been channeling this, or you have been given the information?
Well, it's like a relay.
Okay.
I basically type out the questions.
Yep.
Elena reads it to him. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, actually, what they do is they scan it through her eyes, and then she types out what he's saying, and then sends it back to me, and that's how we relay this information. But
well, everyone's got a different way of doing things, I suppose.
Well, yeah, no, not everybody has.
No, not everyone has that ability to do that.
Quantum, they don't use electromagnetics like we do. We use electromagnetic communications, which is limited to the distance and besides being harmful and everything else. But they use quantum communication where you can be on another galaxy and you can communicate. Their older sister is an attendant to one of the generators. They use these within the pyramids. They have these large crystals that are wound, and they pulse and they open up the singularity eye of the crystal, and the frill is what they call it, goes up into the top, and then it's transponded wirelessly. They don't use wires.
No,
everything is using
crystal.
Resonance.
Yeah. So it's funny because
this is what it is.
So David Sedera, he's obviously into all of the frequencies. You're into sort of like the fractal sort of like geometry and things, and then you've got I've just come across Jimmy, is it Planchet, French gentleman? He's into all of his harmonics, and I think it's fascinating that it's all connected. Well, it is all connected. It's an all a way of communicating devices, isn't it?
Yeah, it's we've learned an incredible amount of in the 1980s. I worked with Dr. Vogel and traveled to Arkansas, where race is, and got a huge batch of crystals, and we're cutting them for medical doctors using the specific technique, and it was very close to what they cut the crystals on the planet Era. Only there's extra things you have to take in consideration. The frill. Oh, by the way, you can find the notes, 150 some pages of communications on marcelvogel.org. It's a page I did in his honor, to honor his work he did.
Has he passed away? He's passed away?
Yeah, back in 91.
Okay then. So for yourself then, do you use anything, because you're quite off grid, you and Rebecca, so do you use any devices for yourself? Because I love off grid.
Oh yeah.
You're all self-sufficient, totally self-sufficient?
Oh yeah, we live on a mountaintop off the grid, and
sounds rubbish. Sounds amazing. No, I've seen the pictures. It sounds amazing, looks amazing. Yeah. So totally self-sufficient. So this
is pretty self-sufficient as you can get. We have a greenhouse, we grow our own food, and I work with Elena, and I were doing a series of free crystal classes from what we're learning from off planet, and as well as Marcel.
So I picked this up. I've had this years. Actually, this came from. Did this come from? I think this came from Arkansas, selenite.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cluster.
Yeah, and it was over there, and then it went into the kitchen, and now I've just put it here tonight. I don't know why. That came from Arkansas, funny enough. So totally self-sufficient, because obviously doing what you're doing, it only aids you in being totally self-sufficient, isn't it? So you unless you're going out into the shops and going shopping and having to deal with the daily public and the daily chatter that's going on, it must be absolutely amazing to work in that environment, doing what you're doing with this lady, channeling.
I'm so humbled and honored to be able to do this. And it seems like life puts you in certain channels of connections with certain
Yeah.
people and
Yeah,
things, and
totally.
that
Yeah, you're
so
very blessed actually in the situation. Yeah, lovely. I mean, I think a
I
lot of
give
us would.
thanks every day for the
Oh,
good things.
that's so lovely. So, how do you sort of perceive now Congress to how it was? What would you see that could change, or what would you see that you'd wish that they would think of or do?
um one more time, Bridget. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's my English. It's my English. Okay, right. So, I'll speak a little bit closer. So, Congress right now. How do you view it from the past? Then, okay, I'll put it a different way. How do you view it from the past to the present? And because you've seen it, you've seen it both ways.
Oh,
How would you change it? What would you get them to change, or what would you insist on of them? Hey, hang on a minute, you need to do this, or what would you insist on?
I would insist on all those that are doing crimes against humanity to be brought to justice, and that all of the deception and
Mhm,
psychological warfare that we've been under that has created deceptions and division.
mhm, mm,
There's so much division that has been
mhm,
created
yeah,
because of the mainstream media has been
yeah,
infiltrated, going all the way back to the early 1900s.
mm,
And the social media now with the internet is the
mm,
biggest threat to them
absolutely,
because of the alternative voices, because like the World Economic Forum is saying, like the biggest threat and the number one threat is disinformation, because
mm,
they're afraid that so many people are starting to become aware of a lot of the hidden history. How they do this is through generational indoctrination, because when you're a child, your parents watch television, and your parents don't have any reason to question, what
yeah,
they see
yeah,
on
yeah.
TV.
Well, we
And
only had
then,
probably 3 channels. We only had 3 channels back then in England.
yeah, yeah. So you just
Yeah,
carry it into adulthood, and so through generation after generation, they just naturally assume that there's going to be media journalists that are doing due diligence to call out anything that's
yeah.
but they get fired right away and get replaced.
So that
Um,
must be quite interesting for you being an old what were you, an ABC reporter?
yeah,
Oh, wow. So you've seen it
I
from that
was an
side as
ABC
well?
newsman. Yes,
Oh, wow. That's
you know.
well, that's even more so why you wanna make sure that, it's all factual as opposed to, not doing wow.
Yeah.
Where were you there? Where were you based then for that?
Well, here's a since we're doing share screen
Yeah, yeah.
still.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
basically infiltrated.
Yep.
1917, they put their own editors in and gave the editors information.
Mm,
Rockefeller, Morgan,
mm.
Warburg, Council of Foreign Relations, Operation Mockingbird, 400 media journalists, they were paying it. Then they set up the Bilderberg meetings, which they control the
Oh
main
my,
top executives.
you've done this a few times. Yeah.
And they've, from 1983, the CIA's consolidated down to 6 corporations that they control,
Yeah.
and basically people are just, news reporters are just reading the prompts like I was, I didn't have any idea who's creating this information. They
But
can make
that's
a criminal look innocent and an innocent look like a criminal.
for sure.
2001, I didn't know what Operation Mockingbird. I thought, my God, this is going to be a
Yeah.
world-changing event.
That is
But
busy. That is packed actually there. Yeah.
they did a
Yeah.
limited hangout, made it sound like we wanted to have a congressional hearing simply on the reality of UFOs, which isn't going to gather much attention.
Yeah.
And then CBS wanted to interview me. I said, look, we have the scientists. I'm not going to do this unless I can say that we have the scientists that can prove we have an energy solution.
Yep.
And then afterwards, she said, I'm sorry, the higher executives made me cut that part out.
Yeah, there you
And,
go. Yeah.
so
So have you
propaganda becomes ineffective the moment you become aware of it.
so there's a lot of people right now that are doing their own documentaries. Would you do your own documentary? Besides
Uh,
being on podcasts and TV shows, would you do your own documentary and get it all factual and it
oh,
be
no,
your
no.
own self? No?
I'm getting enough situations where, like, you invited me on your show, and I was just on Dr. Michael Sala's channel, and I've been interviewed by quite a number of people, so I don't really need to do my own channel,
No,
and
documentary. I mean, documentary.
well, I have done some, and into all this, and on my YouTube channel, it's there on my Facebook, facebook.com/disclosure witness. There's some links.
Exactly. That's
It's
yeah.
by omission that
Mm.
censorship happens. It's by omission.
Mm.
I want to see the criminals of humanity brought out of operation. We have what's called the Law of War Manual, that when certain things happen, we can use the legal methods in order to, take down these elements that have hijacked humanity.
Mhm.
And the complete medical system can be completely dismantled, and these new modalities of medicine, that could extend lives and heal any disease. I mean, it's all there. It's just a matter of getting to the point where we unite in our understanding so far that you've been using the psychological warfare to create this matrix of perception, as the Nazis once called it. They had a plan to infiltrate into the United States and create this, and they effectively did it, using, infiltrating into, the intelligence agencies and into the mainstream media, and thousands of dollars, millions, actually, billions of dollars go into think tanks.
I mean, that's why Stephen Greer's, heavily campaigned, isn't it? Because he knows that himself that, things medically can be changed as well. And, I think medically things do need to move on. But if we're all sort of getting to the point to be alternative anyway, and meditation and all of the various things that we all do to enable us to sort of connect to our higher spirit and to our guides and various things, I think that the people out there, the government people are, don't like people that are I don't know who started saying it, but a bit woo woo. But it just makes me laugh when people say that. We're not. It's the other people that are not really actively thinking about your personal well-being. It's time for change, isn't it? And us experiencers have to keep fighting really for what we believe in, like you have, like Stephen has, like so many of us. We wouldn't all be here if we knew that something much bigger was happening to us all, and it is cosmically something's totally shifting. Sorry, that's my little rant.
Well, it's scientifically provable that all the minds on this planet are collectively entangled, you could say, and that a certain percentage of the minds become aware. It's like the 100th monkey kind of thing, where when you do these shows, you have a couple of thousand, or how many viewers that you have. They're all thinking about what we're talking about. Some will just think, oh, this is just entertainment, and there's probably nothing to it. And other people think, oh, I didn't know that before. And they go and they research for themselves.
Absolutely.
And they say, oh my God, this is true,
Yeah.
And then, and so what happens is the more minds that think about this, it's kind of like it amplifies and propagates across the collective mind, even though we don't have the outlets like the mainstream media does to reach the people who really need to hear this information.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic wake up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like, as they say, preaching to the choir. The people that tune into your channel and other alternative media channels are already pretty much savvy, and they've already done some research to even bother to look at it. Otherwise, they've had their minds weaponized and think, oh, this is all disinformation, dangerous disinformation, don't listen to these people, go back to your channels and like Brzezinski said, soon people will only be able to parrot what they heard on the previous evening night's news. And that's true for a lot of people. It's too hard of a stretch for them to imagine that.
Absolutely.
Yes, for a long time,
Yeah.
our information systems have been infiltrated by an enemy that's using it against us.
Totally. From an ex-ABC reporter. Yes, but that's fantastic, and that's what's so valuable in all this. It's a bit like Stephen Greer as well, being a medical doctor, and we've all got a part to play in it, haven't we? You can't rewrite the past of what you've done, and it was so important that you had to do that to have an insight to it all.
Well, it's the only reason I do these shows. I have zero financial interest in any of this. I don't sell any books or movies or anything like that. I just want to. I feel like I've been given a ticket, because I was one of the witnesses that testified, to be able to speak on this, and I've been researching for decades, and based on authenticated, classified documents and many witness testimonies that I've researched. And after a while, if you research enough and you get enough pieces of the puzzle together, it starts to form a pretty clear picture.
Saying about books, didn't you co-write a book with somebody, Alien Encounter in the American Midwest? Did you?
Oh, one more time, Bridget. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Forgive my bad hearing.
No, it's my English. It's my English. Didn't you write a book, Alien Encounter, in the American Midwest, though?
About an alien
That's
encounter?
better, Race. Soft lighting. Yeah, didn't you co-write a book, Alien Encounter in the American Midwest?
Sorry. Something about an alien encounter.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Did you write a book? Co-write?
Did I write a book on alien encounters?
Co-write a book on alien encounters in the American Midwest. Oh.
No, it wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
Now I understand what you're saying. No, I have not written any books.
No, because you're talking about the books. You're not interested in doing books or anything like that. And I thought I'd read that you'd done co-written. Okay.
No.
All right.
My only book is because it's online, thewebmatrix.net, which is basically I only did that because it's not really a book, it's just free, it's online. It is because a media company in Hollywood, they thought, being an ex-ABC newsman and a witness, I'd be a good candidate to write on the control of the extraterrestrial UFO matter.
Yeah.
And so I gladly accepted because I saw what happened afterward. And that started my quest, So, for the last 2 decades, I went from not knowing what Operation Mockingbird was to having a pretty extensive knowledge of how they have, how they've deceived the public for many decades.
Absolutely. In regards to where you live, have you had any, and you and Rebecca had any encounters there?
I was, when I was dealing with energy inventors, I was up working with the Bedini brothers up in Idaho. And Rebecca, on the balcony, there was a silver-shaped craft, typical flying saucer. But I had the camera
upside down. Off.
I took the camera with me, so yeah, she experienced that.
It doesn't matter. She probably wouldn't have used it anyway, because everyone says, "Well, why didn't you take a picture?" You don't think about that, It's like, oh right, okay, oh right. So yeah, I know that she has had.
I've had them fly, 100 feet over my head, 50-foot discs, and yeah, I've seen them a number of
I
times.
love how casual you are about that. That's very casual, saying it very casually. I know it's quite something though, isn't it?
Before you actually see one, you start thinking, are these people making up stories? What, maybe they really didn't see something. Maybe it was the planet Venus or something,
Oh, I
But
think it's definitely not when it's over your head. If it's stationary and it's like that size, yeah. So
then
no,
you
but
realize that some are extraterrestrial and some are made in the USA.
well, I've said this before on a podcast. I did a BBC documentary, American road trip. Went really wrong, but anyway, we went to Area 51. Blah blah blah. Anyway, but Annie Jacobs interviewed me, and Annie Jacobs, I told her about my encounter, and she said to me, "Did I ever think that it was military?" No one had ever asked me that question before, and I had to pause for a second, and I said, absolutely not, because on a freeway, military helicopters then intercepting it, men in black car. Well, it could have been a massive staged Hollywood thing because it was outside Hollywood, but Annie Jacobs, she said, do you think it was military? I mean, what do you think of the population have seen military UFOs then? What do you think? I don't know about that.
Oh, they do. The Admiral Wilson memo that got leaked, talked about, some
Cash
of these.
Landrum, actually. Sorry, carry on, Dan.
Yeah, some of these abductions are done by military, and as Dr. Stephen Greer says, they use like programmed life forms that look like extraterrestrials, and so
God, don't confuse me.
yeah, it's
Really?
kind of an agenda. But ever since 2021, the Greys, which the MJ-12 circumvented Eisenhower, did a deal where they're abducting millions of it. They have been removed from our solar system, as well as the reptilians and the Nachtwaffen, the Nazis that have operations on the moon and Mars and so forth, and Ceres. They have been removed from our solar system with the help of the Galactic Federation of Worlds working with the Earth Alliance. So now we only have to deal with the Earth minions, that they no longer have their extraterrestrial overlords for support.
Okay.
This was revealed in the Arlington Institute. They had 3 reliable sources confirm that. And so that's great news, because that means that
we're all clear. We're all clear.
Yeah, we just have to deal with these people who have still a little bit of power, but they're desperate right now because there's this global awakening and people starting to see them and see what their agenda is, and so that's we're very afraid of. That's why disinformation is their number one threat.
Yeah. And it is difficult when if you're, let's say, over lockdown, quite a few people have now doing podcasts and various things, and they've just got into ufology. Well, it's so difficult for them to be able to find the factual stuff, the real facts, as opposed, when you're on the internet. I'll go back and I'll always say this: it's the old school encounters, or the old school researchers that really did the nuts and bolts of it all. By going out to meet the experiences or the witnesses. Now it's just internet podcasts. It's just it's not how it used to be.
Oh yeah, I did as you saw, I did an expose on the Adamski Space Brothers from Venus. That whole thing was a psyop that was set up by MJ-12 and working together with CIA and Vatican.
Oh, yeah, because I had Glenn on last week. I haven't seen that, so I will watch what you've just said. Then I will look into that.
Yeah.
The
Adamski
Foundation.
The purpose of that was they didn't want the public to know that the Germans had broken away with their own civilization, had advanced technology, and they wanted to divert the attention to everything being, oh, it's the Space Brothers from Venus. It's don't pay attention to the swastika and Iron Cross on the side, and the pilots with the Nazi uniform and with a German accent, and they landed a couple of places, one in Nebraska, another one in Hawaii, where they actually landed, and they had witnesses that it was talked about in the newspapers and things. So they were trying to divert the attention away from that reality.
Started to say something earlier when you were saying about military. It was about a week ago that I read it, but I need to look into it because it always fascinated me, the Cash Landrum case, that they were saying that was possibly military.
Which case was that?
Cash Landrum. The Cash Landrum case. It was a family all in a car. A very famous case.
Down in Texas.
Yeah. Not sure. It was son, mother, and daughter, and it was radiation. It was over their car. And
I'm trying to remember this one. Where was the location?
You said Texas, but I can't remember if it was Texas. But it's a very famous encounter.
Yeah, with the big one, that the craft that was leaking radiation like crazy.
Yes.
I remember.
Right.
Because
right, it was in 1980 down in Texas, and it was a mother, a child, a son, and his aunt, and it was a big diamond-shaped UFO.
Right. I remember that.
It was in front of the car, in front of the bonnet of the car. It was,
and there was all kinds of Chinook helicopters and all that involved. Yeah.
So I'm probably going to ask Nick Pope to come on, and everyone's going to go, ooh, but I'm going to ask Nick Pope to come on and give some new facts on that, because Nick always said that because I got treated for radiation after I had my encounter, and it came up a couple of days, about a week ago, about saying that it was possibly military. Well, that would be quite interesting because it had military helicopters and everything with it.
Yeah. Yeah, the militaries have rivets and seams, and the extraterrestrial stuff is all smooth, all homogeneous, one giant form. It's a whole different level of technology between the military and it's starting
you can
to come out.
Feel it as well, though. Surely you must be able to feel it. Feel it. If it's military, you've got that gut instinct when you see it.
Yeah, you can go by that too. Yeah, well, you have the TR-3B. They even have the patents out. Showing how, and the U.S. Navy has a number of patents out that force fields, anti-gravity, and
let's not talk
fusion reactors, and all this Star Trek kind of stuff is like
or Philadelphia experiment. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming out for those who have the eyes to see. There's patents and things that are been exposed that reveal some of this technology, but it hasn't gone mainstream yet.
Well, possibly won't for quite some while, unless you're going to be working on various things. Or getting the information out there. But again, it's about getting the information out there correctly. That's why I said to you, would you do your own documentary? Because then you knew that what the facts that were going in, you're the producer, you're the director, you're going to be able to put the facts in there. Because you've got a lot of people right now that are doing their own documentaries, independent documentary filmmakers, which are absolutely fabulous. I in the background, I know about 3 or 4 people that are going to come out with something quite major that aren't, that they're just going to whack onto YouTube, not going to be out in the mainstream. I got race tapping, rap. Okay, so
that's
Dan,
good. More people need to be doing that.
Oh no, definitely,
yes.
Absolutely, because then I'm hoping that the public will trust us as experiencers, that we're telling you the facts as the bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but that's coming out in the media. Right, I'm going to have to say. Well, do you want to say anything quickly to us, Dan? Because
I have a mini documentary on my YouTube channel, Dan Willis, called "Why the Secret Space Program is Secret." You can check that out. It's been great to join you again. Sorry, I have trouble with your accent sometimes, but my hearing's not that great either. So
I'm used to an American accent. I love American accents, so I'm used to it. But thank you so much, and give my love to Rebecca, and thank you, Dan, so much for joining me tonight. I will have you back. I think we'll do another documentary on your work, and actually the history, like you've been showing us the clips. It would be nice to see it in a sequence all the way through. That'd be absolutely
yeah. We'll do it a quick, so it won't bore people. We'll do it boom, boom, and everything can be looked up and verified, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay, and we haven't even talked about being, so I think we'll come back a few times and talk about beings, right? So thank you, Dan. Give my love to Rebecca, and thank you ever so much. Guys, next week we are going to be having, he's not going to like this if I say it straight away, but rapper experiencer Raphael. He's just done the documentary on Netflix called Calling All Hybrids, which I have seen. Speaking with him on Monday for a good natter. Why he's on is because he, and not many people have, but I want to hear from more people that have witnessed a craft of military helicopters. Because when Raphael came out and said that, I heard it on Preston Dennett's show, I was like, oh my God. It is so nice to experience something with somebody else that has had the same experience. So that's, that's what we all link for, isn't it? To find somebody that's pretty much the same as us. Guys, thank you ever so much for joining me on The Naked Truth tonight. So look forward to next week. You can check out Raphael's documentary on Netflix. It's not Netflix. Amazon Prime. Oh my gosh, Amazon Prime, Calling All Hybrids. All right, until next week. See you. Night from me. Bye.